It's insane. It's ethnic cleansing. And he said all of this.
Well, it's not. I mean, it's insanity. I might go. I mean, they are going to supposedly they're going to be moved to beautiful housing areas. I don't know if that's quite ethnic cleansing, but it is moving them out of their home.
But you know what? Let's not make light of the issue that they're going to go to nicer areas. He was saying all of this next to the man who has murdered, 100,000 people?
Well, I wonder if we can just restrict our conversation to now for President Trump's ideas. We've talked a lot about Netanyahu, and we can have another go at him, and indeed he may well be appearing at some point in front of a tribunal, and that's the time for that. So if we can just restrict ourselves to Trump's, why are you so opposed to it, Khalid?
Because the Palestinian people don't want to move out of their own land. And I don't think a foreign president should decide the fate of 1.5 million people.
Don't go. I want to bring someone else into the conversation, Khalid, who I think has different views. Hugo's in Hampstead. Do you see some merit to President Trump's ideas? What is that, Hugo? Good morning.
Good morning. So two things. First of all, I don't believe that the Palestinian people would be able to rebuild Gaza without the financial aid of the international world, and mainly most of it coming from America. So
that's a good point.
Ultimately, Mr. Trump does have, whether you want to call it the right or the wrong, he's going to have an influence on what's going to happen because it's his money or America's money.
Good point.
Number two, there's 30,000 unexploded bombs there. If it was one of our cities, we wouldn't allow people to return. The dangers of the people. There's disease in Gaza. There's no solid foundation. The level of safety there is going to be terrible for any building or infrastructure to go on without having to clean up the entire place first and then restart plan from scratch.
Let's bring Khalid back in. It will possibly need overseas money, and you would probably look to the United States, as Hugo suggests. Khalid?
Yeah, I think Saudi Arabia also offered their services in terms of funding it. And, I just think it's bonkers that we're talking about displacing 1.5 million people. I mean, that's the bottom line. All this talk
How is it, just
having nice housing.
No, just to Hugo's point, who is going to rebuild? I mean, Saudi Arabia, they might have talked about it, but they've certainly not done anything in as concrete as President Trump suggested yesterday. So how else will it be rebuilt?
Well, I don't know whether that's actually true. I think that there is a major issue in the way we're framing all of this narrative. And talking about the rebuilding of Gaza, I think maybe we should ask the people of Gaza how they want it to be rebuilt, because we have no representation.
Well, if you haven't got the cash, it doesn't matter how they might want to be. That's like saying I might want to do something. I haven't got the money.
So the indigenous people don't even have a stake in the game about where they live. And remember, they were already refugees in their own land.
Let's put that to Hugo. Hugo?
Well, I don't think people said that after the Second World War. They started the war. I don't think you can call all Palestinians the people who started the war. However, the elected government there, Hamas, did start. And when you lose, you sometimes do not have the luxury to decide certain stuff.
Khalid?
Well, again, I don't think that they necessarily lost, but I don't think Israel actually got any of their stated gains, that they didn't remove Hamas, which has been clear from all the footage of the released hostages.
It's one of two things. Either Trump is doing the tariff line again, and he's basically rehabilitating these entirely discredited and treacherous Arab rulers, or this is Trump's Madagascar plan, like the Germans had for the Jews during the Second World War. It's one or two.
Yep, I'd forgotten that. Yeah, well done. Yep. What should the reaction be?
It should be total and utter contempt and condemnation for the Madagascar plan, because if that's what it means, I'm only saying the other one because these treacherous Arab rulers and their parents before them have been betraying the Palestinians for the best part of 100 years, ever since the Arab revolt, which Lawrence brilliantly engineered against the Ottomans. So this is a century of betrayal by the Arab regimes. I don't give a scintilla of sincerity to them. And Trump has supported, because Truman said this, Harry Truman said this in 1948, we cannot kick out 5 million Palestinians in one go. We have to do it in bits. There's a video, you can look it up. Harry Truman said it. He was a Democrat, he's a Republican. U.S. state policy of genociding and ethnically cleansing Palestinians started with Woodrow Wilson, and it's still going on today.
What do you think the outcome of this will be? What impact will it have on the region?
Okay, well, he's given Netanyahu the full seal of approval like Biden did. So I think, basically, if American policy is going to continue as it has done, then judging by Trump's last term, this is his potential throw of the dice, like he did with the Canadians and the Mexicans, to say, I'm going to do this, let's talk. Actually, we're not going to do that. So it's difficult to call, but either eventuality is possible because America's been doing this for the best part of a century, so no surprises there.
Ali, thank you for that. I think it was just to remind, someone's telling my ear that you said that President Truman was a Republican and a Democrat. Just to remind, of course, he was a Democratic president. But thank you for your input on that.
All it is, I think, in my opinion, with President Trump being a Jewish person, it's the best thing that's happened. I think he's colluded with Netanyahu, over this,
right,
to kick out the people from Palestine from the Gaza Strip, so that the Jewish population.
The basic problem with your argument, Terry, is that President Trump is not Jewish.
Well, he's colluded with the Jews, isn't he? Surely.
No, he's not. No, he's not. I'm sorry, Terry. You're approaching a red card. I think you're making the extraordinarily ignorant mistake of deciding that all Jews are Israelis and vice versa. I think you're talking about the Israeli nation is what you're talking about, rather than a faith.
Well, Israel, I think in that respect, I'm mistaken.
Yes,
but
okay.
Israel wants the Palestinians of the Gaza Strip to have it for themselves.
Same point that an earlier caller made. How is Gaza to be rebuilt, redeveloped?
Well, how about the Americans then clear the land that's been severely bombed? Okay, then give it back to the Palestinian state.
Why would they want to do that?
I don't know.
Okay, we've moved a long way. Terry, safe driving.
I would start with the kind of really strong take that this is no more than American imperialism reasserted. This is as Trump has been with trying to take over Greenland, a suggestion of that, suggestion of trying to take over Panama. This is empire building, I think, plain and simple. People discuss the idea that this will be rich homes for rich Americans. It will be American military bases where other countries are now starting to reject those. This is attempting to ensure other countries cannot ensure any military power in the area.
And all I will say is it will rebuild Gaza.
Will it? How has that been asserted? Do we trust that the American government intends to do that?
Well,
when has an imperial power ever taken over an area and rebuilt it properly?
Rome.
When has England ever continued with its promises? Our colonialism built railways in
India building the railways. Loads and loads of times, Victor. So I come back to you. By the way, I'm not saying this gives it merit, but how else is it to be rebuilt?
How? With funding, with time, with a lack of a genocide?
They haven't got time. The poor souls are wandering around with all their possessions in a donkey and cart. They wouldn't mind, perhaps. Why wouldn't they want to go and live somewhere? What's his expression? Somewhere nice? Let me look at his words again. Here we go. A beautiful area to resettle people permanently in nice homes.
Nice homes. Where are those nice homes, supposedly? Egypt? Jordan
and Egypt.
Are they built?
Countries.
Who is going to build these homes for millions of Palestinians?
America.
Brilliant. Why aren't they being built in Palestine for Palestinians?
Because the land has to be levelled first. It's impossible to build on any of that land because you have to level it, is what the president would say.
And do you believe that America, if it gets levelled, who lives there then? Do the Palestinians come?
You'll see Hilton hotels, Marriott hotels and Trump hotels up in quicker than you can say knife.
It's not like this will be completed all within Trump's terms. This kind of reliance on...
Victor, okay. By the way, I'm not saying Trump's solution is the solution. What is the solution, Victor?
Misguided.
How do we rebuild Gaza?
With time, with well-thought-out policies.
Okay, that's twice you've said that, and meanwhile people are in the freezing cold or blazing heat living next to a donkey.
The point I guess I was thinking about when listening to this debate this morning is in the last few weeks since Trump's been in power, he's threatened to take over Greenland by force. He's now talking about taking over Gaza. He's threatened most of his a number of his allies with tariffs.
Yep.
Is this really a democratic leader of the free world? Is that really where we've got to in the world? Is what I'm trying to understand.
Well,
I mean,
yes, it is. He won the US election. I was there. He got more votes than the other one.
He may have done, but is this the reality of democracy, where the leader of the free world apparently goes around, he's saying, I'm going to take over this country, I'm going to take over that country? Sounds more like Putin than the leader of the Western world, doesn't it?
It sounds very ambitious, and I don't think it's got any merit to it. But how will people in Gaza be helped? How will the Palestinians in Gaza be helped?
I mean, I think one of your callers earlier said, look, they've always managed to rebuild. They've always managed to find a solution to where they get to in the end.
Right.
But at the moment, the solution can't possibly be a Trump figure sitting.
And do you think there's ever been devastation on this level before?
There hasn't, but it has been caused by the war. And naturally, it's a big problem. But it's not going to be solved by telling the people of Palestine, you're moving to these territories now, and we're taking over your land. That surely can't be the solution. And that can't be a good example to other countries out there or people out there that are in similar positions, because surely they would just be looking and going, "Oh, if they can do it, we can do it." And other people, like Putin, will undoubtedly take great heart from some of these conversations, because they'll think, "Well, we can do stuff like that now as well and take land."